So yeah, man, I don't know what to do with a bunch of these rumors right now. Let's start with the John Collins thing, which has been a thing for a couple years now, it feels like. But some of the wording around it seems like if it's ever really going to happen, it's going to be this offseason. There was like a Dejounte Murray, John Collins rumor, which, look, man, I think John Collins could get some more shots than he does in Atlanta, because a lot of the time he's just sort of setting screens, and I mean, he'll get to 17 points, but not a lot of specific plays drawn up for him, right? But with that said, if I was San Antonio, I just would not trade Dejounte Murray for him. I'm pretty sure it would not be just a one-to-one trade, but I also don't think the Hawks would put in like a Kongwu or Kevin Huerter along with it, you know? I mean, Dejounte, to me, has not hit his ceiling just yet, and the guy already was quietly one of the better, at least, all-around players in the league this previous season. More on him in a second, but as far as Collins, I mean, if that Dejounte Collins thing was rumored for 4 seconds, I think that's at least a bit of a sign of how Atlanta would like to shuffle their roster around a little bit with, I guess, someone who could take some ball handling pressure off of Trey while also covering for him defensively and adding to their size and switchability around Trey. Whether that would be a perfect fit on offense, that's a different conversation, but again, I don't think San Antonio should do that move. As far as other guards/wings who have some size, can do something off the ball to where it takes a little bit of pressure off of Trey, still make shots and all that. Well, one of them is Malcolm Brogdon, who we're going to talk about in a little bit here. He gets injured all the time, and also, if I'm honest, I'm a little concerned that Brogdon's defensive reputation that he built up a few years ago isn't really where his defense is at anymore. Another name is Gordon Hayward. Similar to Brogdon, he keeps getting hurt. Also, he's not exactly young anymore. Now, speaking of the Dejounte stuff, I guess the rumor was it would take a Drew Holiday-esque package, which is basically like $1 million first-round picks or whatever. The thing with Dejounte is the Spurs, if they're going to extend him, I mean, that's coming up in a couple of seasons, and there's a decent chance he's going to get a max or something close to it, right? And so then you get into the whole, well, is this guy good enough to be the number one on a team competing for a playoff spot? But also you do the whole, well, is there a better alternative? Look, all I know is I would not trade him for John Collins. Now, plus whatever else the Hawks would give me, because I'm just assuming they're not going to give me like a Kongwu, you know? There are still some questions with Dejounte. I mean, look, the defense is awesome. The passing is great. The mid-range jumper is good, but that's kind of his go-to offensively, which means his overall efficiency is still not really where you'd want it to be, mainly because of lack of threes, lack of free throw attempts. But I still think he's going in the right direction here. Look, I know that it's 2022 and we do not value simple box score numbers as much as we once did. He did average 21, 8, and 9 at 25 years old. Now, with that said, if a superstar became available one day and Dejounte could be the beginning of a package that could land me insert one of the top whatever players in the league, well, then that's a different conversation. Anyway, let's talk about Gobert some more. The one team seems to pretty much be the Bulls right now. There were little things about the T-Wolves that I don't think really went anywhere. Also, as I look at what the Wolves could offer the Jazz, I just don't think there's a move there. So looking at the discourse around this potential trade on the internet's been pretty fun, because Bulls fans, for them, the big thing is, do they put Patrick Williams in the deal or not? And Jazz fans are like, can we have Lonzo? So I don't know what the hell that looks like in the front office version of it. My guess is that the Jazz will only trade Gobert for an offer that NBA Twitter will think is way too much for the guy, and then the team that gets him wins way more games than they won the previous season. I think two teams that could put together offers for Gobert are the Raptors and the Hawks. Not that I'm saying they should do this, but, I mean, if the Hawks were really just like, look, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Okongwu, Capella, Collins, not all of that, of course, but some combo of that, and for the Raptors, it would basically be Anunoby, Gary Trent, something like that. I'm not saying teams should do that, but if they were really determined, there you go. Look, man, I know this might be a hot take, but I think assuming that Gobert and Mitchell do not hate each other, it is okay to have both of them on the team next year under a new coach. See what could be out there for Bogdanovich, Clarkson, and Conley, especially if you can bring in some more defensive players while not losing too much shooting. Now let's go to Indiana. Malcolm Brogdon. To me, the biggest thing is just the health. If Brogdon played 70 games every year, with how well-rounded he is offensively, and I mean, I still say the best version of him was with the Bucks, where he was able to play off of the guys a little bit more, then teams would be lining up to take on the dude. Currently, we've got a little rumor that says if the Knicks strike out on Jalen Brunson because, of course, they created some cap space, and the rumor was that they now want Brunson after they did all that draft shuffling around for some space. Then I guess they could try to make a move for Brogdon. Again, the health stuff and all that is a question with him. The other thing with the Knicks, just in general, and then I want to get back to Indiana, talk about Myles Turner a little bit. It feels like the Knicks are going to have to make a generous offer, whether that's in a trade or that is in free agency, to get themselves a real lead guard. And yet none of those lead guards are all-stars, but they still also really need one, unless Emmanuel quickly takes a massive leap next year or something. So, I don't know. Hopefully they don't give up too much. Hopefully they don't sign somebody to too much money, but sometimes you have to. Let's talk about Myles Turner, who, similar to John Collins, has been in trade rumors forever. And I don't think it's as strong of a suggestion that he's going to get moved this offseason, but it feels like, at least among fan bases or whatever, that Myles Turner right now is the we need a center, but we don't want to trade everything for Gobert guy. I think if I was Indiana, I would be actively shopping Brogdon, and I would be very comfortable with holding on to Myles unless somebody just blew me away with an offer pretty much. Because here's the thing, right? The questions with Turner have been his offense, right? Can he operate in the open floor as a playmaker? Mainly like if the guard gets trapped or whatever. Can he handle a higher amount of threes attempted per game? Can he be better as a post player, whether that's attacking switches or just be more aggressive as a roller and all that? Well, maybe he is that when playing next to Halliburton. Similar to Brogdon, he's also been injured the past 2 seasons. I probably should have mentioned that first along with Brogdon, but yeah, we'll see with Myles. There have been some Matisse Thybulle rumors. Here's the thing with Thybulle, man. When you're awesome on defense and you're not awesome on offense, sometimes it's like woohoo, and other times it's like, oh my god, nobody's guarding you in round 2 of the playoffs. So the one way for Philly to put some money together is if they trade Thybulle, Korkmaz, and Niang together. Because with the 125% rule, they can get to about $16 million, which does give you some potential names, but I think that would require the other team to view Thybulle as a pretty good asset that they could grow offensively. And I mean, it hasn't happened in 3 years, so I don't know. The other thing too for Philly is how many bench guys do you want to move before you got somebody good back, and then it's like, oh crap, it's the guy we got in D'Anthony Melton, and we don't have a bench. Well, besides Paul Reed becoming Joel Embiid 2.0.